Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Sidrat Gamer. I am Sidrat. And earlier today, comments was posted on the Elite Dangerous Episode 1 video. Is a really good comments, very good comments from Superior X.F.X with questions and assumptions that I would like to address with all sincerity, because it is important to be open about such things and as to how I play the games that I do play on this channel and off camera as well. So this video will be that reply. Okay. So I want to address the points here because they're worth answering, but I do want to do it vocally, as I hope to convey the passion and hope, indeed the passionate hope that I have for gaming in general, but Elite Dangerous in particular. So you bring up that one there. So I've grouped these three first because it's roughly the same answer. The first statement is true. There were thousands of hours spent in Elite Dangerous, but when it first came out, even before engineering, before planets were a thing, we didn't know they were coming. We had no idea, no clue or idea that they were coming out. But the Elite Dangerous that I played when it first came out, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I did the missions. I did mostly mining and trading for the sake of mining and trading, because that's all there was to the game. I remember when we could land on planets following that paid DLC, and landing on a random moon somewhere and thinking, this is awesome, as it was. That's just my opinion. It was awesome, even though there was a black screen, and it was good enough. Landing on the planet and getting out of the vehicle into a vehicle was pretty good. The second line is that I had to remap all of my controls, including menu navigation, and sometimes in the video I just hit the wrong button. I can only apologize for that. I believe I've changed the mapping around now so that my instincts now do what my thumb and pinky finger believes that it will do, rather than trying to force a brain rewrite. Adapting the game controls to what I was doing is far easier than trying to rewrite my brain. And the third line, I don't remember asking AI for help. I would have looked up information on Inara. As he said, if I did ask Google on how to do things or what things were, then that's fine. But the game doesn't really help you, even though it's got a codex, even though it's got an expensive codex. You can only find something in a codex if you know what it is you're looking for. This is one of those times where the question is harder to know than the answer turns out to be. It's just one of those things. So the familiarity with the controls, the locations of where to find things, that will just come with practice as I get back into Elite Dangerous on a more consistent basis, which is what I will be doing at some points. I was planning on making an Elite Dangerous video this weekend anyway. Normally Saturday, Sunday, maybe both. So there's in the most recent episode, there was a case where I got a bounty, which is something I never had before. I was playing it on Twitch, and someone in the chat said it's on the bottom left hand side of the home screen, bottom on the right menu, and there it was. I couldn't see it because I didn't know what I was looking for. Is my only defense against that. But that is, yes, that is a weird one. But the first two, or certainly the second one, I needed to remember how to do a lot of things. The only thing that I brought with me was knowing that I have to ask permission to dock and undock, of course, but docking, requesting permission to dock trips up far more new players than you would imagine. That's fine. Part two. I've got a few 100 million, as you can see on the top right hand side. I don't consider it broke in the way that I play the game. I'm not looking for a carrier and all that. I may be missing out on a vast array of further, deeper gameplay, but at the moment, I don't have a carrier. I don't need billions, and I don't play it regularly enough to generate billions either. I play Elite Dangerous now to have fun, but I don't play it every single day. So, I have purchased from memory about 2 ships. The links was free. I logged in to claim the links and I ignored everything else. I probably just quit the game directly after. The others were actually purchased with in-game credits. I've not played with many of the ships a great deal until I started recording of the episodes. So I may have dipped in for like a day or two and totally forgot because I didn't really have a plan of what to do, and I certainly wasn't doing it to make videos and make interesting videos at that. So I hope you find them interesting. So when it comes to my memory about previous play games, is like walking into a room and you wonder why you walked into the room. It could be that. So my current fleet is not the fleet that I've always had. I've had many ships in the past, which I've subsequently sold. I've even sold engineered modules as well, because, well, there isn't really a good reason for why I do things, except it was probably a good idea at the time. Which is a good segue into this one here. Yeah, most, if not pretty much all of the modules that you see were engineered back when engineering first came out. And please remember, engineering originally was very, very dull. It was a very slow grind where every single part had to be collected individually. High-grade emissions, while plentiful in number, didn't have the capacity as it does now. The mineral sources were distant and it was a chore. So no, very few, if any, of the modules I have are maxed engineering, and they may not have good choices in the engineering departments either. So with the exception of the frameshift drive, with increased range and mass manager, pretty much every other module is either going to be maxed out on purpose or by accident. That's what it comes down to. And not everything had to be maxed out to grade 5 at the time. I don't know if that's still the case. The content that I've got so far with the pirate combat and the tactical awareness of being up close with the cannons and just letting the turrets do the work, absolutely good enough. Don't need to do anything, but I probably will max out. Yeah, maybe one day I will max out the modules, but I'm not in a rush to do that. It's not necessarily the type of content that I want to see in a video, but I will do it one day. Maybe. It's like knowing that there is a chore that you have to do, and you understand that you'll only have to do it the once, and putting it off until tomorrow. And then tomorrow is always tomorrow. So yeah. If you tell me what I should be engineering in a sensible fashion, what modules should be engineered sensibly, then by all means stick it in the comments or leave a link to a like an Etsy link for a fit, and I will see what I can do. The current ships that I have are based on the information from way back, so I may be missing new modules. I know there's like loads more limpet options and choices. They're fine. They're limpets. If there's anything else that's in the game that I'm missing, let me know in the comments, because obviously I don't know everything, especially if it's happened in the last 18 months or so. I just don't. If not 2 years. Number 4. That one is there. Where is it? Yeah, there. You own multiple joysticks, thrusters for this game. I just own multiple joysticks and pedals and steering wheels. Can't argue with that. I do have a lot, but I acquire the hardware one piece at a time. And as long as you look after it and it's still functional, why throw it away? Now, when it comes, I don't know if this is the point you're making, but I know people who play Elite Dangerous with mouse and keyboard, and they have just as much, if not more fun than I do playing with 2 sticks, pedals, the optional steering wheel, which I don't actually use to steer the vehicles because the stomach would be in the way, and the steering wheel would be in the way of the keyboard. But it's just something that I enjoy having. So I enjoy the experiencing of managing multiple devices, and it makes me feel like a spaceship pilot. So it's fun because I'm engaged in the process of flying, navigating, and communicating all at the same time. It makes me feel like a real pilot, but in a fantasy spaceship environment. Yes, I do. You can too if you want to, but you don't have to. And I certainly would not recommend buying everything all in one go, because that's overwhelming. Just buy the basics first and then buy something else and then buy something else. I've got Xbox controller, which I don't even include in the list because I forget I have it, generally for my nephew. But it's like the VR headset as well. It's nice to have, but it's not essential. Host has, which I could have because I've got a thruster input as well. Nice to have, not essential. Host has, nice to have, not essential. All of the toys are just a means to immerse myself into the game. Not just Elite Dangerous, but there's other games as well, like Star System, for example, or X4 Foundations is another one. Those 2 games I mainly play off camera. If you want to see X4 contents, absolutely fine. Leave it in the comments. But yeah, I'm doing other bits and pieces at the moment. So I don't know if I have time for an extra game. But if you want to see it, leave it in the comments so I know that there's an audience for it. Okay. This is possibly the reason why I wanted to make it the video instead of the 12-page script and just verbal diarrhea on paper, digitally, that I wanted. Current version of Elite requires people to find and make their own fun. That's the entire basis of the video, of the series itself. So could it be better? The control systems, the audio and the graphics, no, they can be better. Leave them alone, don't touch them. It's as good as they need to be. What my original issue was, and to some extent still is that what I find most troubling about Elite Dangerous is the lack of personality within the game and around the bubble. So I must have mentioned it in previous videos within this playlist itself, but I would much rather have 100 NPC corporations, 3 or 4 dedicated to a specific trade good or industry, so they compete against each other for the same stuff, because they're in the same markets, and another 6 NPC corporations will focus on something else. It is like the car manufacturers trying to compete with software manufacturers. They're not competing, they're not in the same market, although they could potentially poach people, software designers, into the car, because cars are now computers, but that's just going off topic. What it would mean for Elite Dangerous, though, is that the corporations that you would be working for would have a presence pretty much everywhere in the bubble. So at the moment, we can jump 100 light years and never see any of the corporations we were working for previously. It comes with pros and cons, but what it means is that there's no consequences. There's no rewards either for the choices and decisions we make when running the missions, and we get standings. Does it mean that we are an insignificant unit of a presence which is meaningless the further away we get from our established corner of the bubble? Yes, it does mean that, but this is also a computer game, and computer games should allow you to feel the consequences of your actions. Maybe it's to a greater or lesser degree further away from their headquarters, but it would add something extra to the game that it currently lacks. The missions themselves, they're a mixed bag. They can be absolutely dull, or in a previous mission, which I had many years ago, it was epic. That mission featured assassins, a mining operation, and then a trade venture where you had to go and deliver what you mined. So I needed to fly a combat ship to take down the assassins. I had to fly in my mining ship at the time in order to get the mining, the mission exclusive materials by mining, and then I had to transport it. I would have used like a different ship with cargo capacity and light year range because it was quite a distance away. But that's just one type of mission, and I haven't seen it since, by the way. So I don't know what's happened to it. I can't remember the name of it. It's gone. I have no idea. But there should be more different missions. There should be storylines. There should be epic arcs, of emotional contents. It tugs on your heartstrings, or it makes you feel angry about an injustice, and you get into the story. You get into the life of an NPC, which is no longer a portrait or a name instantly forgettable. At the moment, you got missions asking you to kill 40 pirates because they belong to a different faction. That's the choice. It's certainly something that might exist in the far, far future. But would that actually be? I don't know. I'm not talking about the morality of missions and going out and blowing ships up. It's fun. I enjoy it, even if I manage to do it in one click and 3 seconds. It's still fun. It's still enjoyable. But the missions should have a bit more of an emotional weight to them. It's that one. Let's have a look. Okay. Okay. That brings me into the last part. Okay. It's already a 20-minute video, so I'll try to summarize it as best as I can. So I'll take the last one first. How do I manage to avoid retaining every single bit of information the game ever provided to you? I don't think it did. It certainly doesn't hold your hand, and it may tell you what you need to do to complete a mission, but it doesn't necessarily tell you how. And there's very few, if any, clues as to what you'll experience when you get there. So until you get there and realize you're in the wrong suit, it's too late. You fell. So if it takes you 10 minutes to get there, that's 10 minutes of your time, not necessarily wasted, but it's 10 minutes of your time you can get back. The missions today, they have been rewritten, and they are now presented in a much better fashion than they were in the past as well. So with the games that I've played, I can see the good in all of them and the outright bad in just a handful. The games I don't remember weren't necessarily bad, they're just not good enough to remember. So the games I remember are either brilliant or they're terrible. And my wisdom is definitely not infinite. Infinity is a mathematical concept which many people including mathematicians, don't necessarily believe in. They just do that to avoid having to write out a lot of zeros. I have been playing games across multiple genres for about 45 years. I started very, very young when it comes to playing games. I learned to read, not because books are awesome, they are awesome, but I learned to read because of text adventure games, and having a free library membership helped with the books as well. So that's how old I am. I started the Elite Dangerous playlist thinking I would be playing the same game that I played before, many years before, on a regular basis. I wanted to get back the feeling of this is fun, this is good, this is enjoyable, which I thought was lost. It wasn't long, and I hope you picked it up by the end of episode 1, that I did have fun, that things have changed for the positive. And things have changed for the positive in some small ways. Now, at the end of episode 1, there was a case of being led to a substantial rethink of what Elite Dangerous is. Not what I want it to be, but what it actually is today that we're playing. So it's no longer a game that really didn't respect your time or efforts, and it's no longer a game that needs to be thought of as a chore list, even though certainly the latter is still a case. But that's essentially, it can be played like that, but it's not the case. So it doesn't care if you don't log in. There's rewards for participating, but you're not missing out on anything if you weren't looking forward to it in the first place. So logging in, getting better at spaceship flying, combat on foot and in a ship, that's a challenge. That's absolutely fine. I'm not a fan of the bullet sponge mechanics. I just think it's lazy. It's a lazy way to develop difficulty meters in a game. Rather, they could be implementing tactics or equipments that the NPCs and players can utilize, so that we'll have something to learn about how to overcome. So, are the problems with Elite Dangerous still present? Yes, but it's not Elite Dangerous' problem, it's mine. I want Elite Dangerous to be fun. In order to do that, I have to put in the effort to make it fun. But it's a game, isn't it fun already? Yes, but, and this is the crux of the matter, it could be more than it is. The Elite Dangerous we have is still good. Will I play it daily? No, absolutely not. But it is a comfort that I know I can still embrace it when the mood arises. So if they made the NPCs and the corporations more personal, if they wrote story missions in a similar way to like Warframe, if it had a fixed identity of being either an MMO or a single player experience exclusively, then it would all be easier to accomplish. Those are my wants and desires, not those of Frontier Developments, and I have to come to terms with that. And I believe I have come to terms with that. The content that I'm making for the channel, it will still feature Elite Dangerous, even if I don't post videos on a daily, weekly basis. I will still come back to it. If that's what you want to see, then let me know in the comments on the latest video. Let me know on comments to any video, because I'll be able to read them as they come through. I hope this has come across with the sincerity of my beliefs. I certainly would not have spent this long to a reply if I wasn't really sincere and hopeful about the game that I do have the best wishes for. I want it to succeed. want it to be the greatest version of a spaceship flying game with the planetary exploration that there has ever been and quite possibly ever will be. I believe it could be. That's the annoying thing about it. It could be so much more than they're letting it being. And it's always the case. It's the exact opposite of what Star Citizen is, where they want it to be perfect and they take all the time and they end up getting nothing done. Whereas Frontier Developments, they have a great idea and they only develop it to a fraction of what it could potentially be. Frustrating. Yeah, so there's nothing about Elite Dangerous that is a lost cause. Everything else, it could be iterated upon. So other than the flight mechanic, the audio effects, the graphics, leave them alone. You don't need to touch them. They're absolutely fine and perfect for the job itself. But telling more stories in missions that can be developed and repeated and just changed, maybe add a step or remove a step or add a like an empathic notes here for extra gravitas. That's all I want. Is Elite Dangerous to tell stories about the human condition, why we're human, what makes us human, what makes us function. Why does a corporation publicly tell everyone that it wants us to go out and kill the enemy in what should be a trade war? It makes no sense. Make it make sense, please. What do you think? What do you think about Elite Dangerous? What do you think about this video? Comments, reaction to a comments. Let me put the main one up because Superior X.F.X has made really good questions. That's why I spent so long on it. I was planning to do Captain of Industry video this morning, but I got this message and I thought, yeah, all of these are worth answering and responding to, but I wanted to do it in my own voice with my own words, and I believe I have done that. If you don't, do what Superior X.F.X did and leave a comment and I'll respond. Maybe not in a video, but who knows? If it's worth responding to in a video, then I will do so. In the meantime, look after yourself. Have fun. And yeah, don't forget to hydrate and iterate. Take care all.